Postural yoga can be thought of as art, and it has been recognized so for quite some time. This is not exactly an Egyptian art from the age of the pharaohs. It's a it's a takeoff on that kind of art, but given a twist to resemble something like yoga. But you can see the reflection of that in actual yoga art. So, for example, in Cajzoran Ali's first set of pictures, you see that sort of an image that is reflected by a photograph, which you can see the resemblance of that to the Egyptian form that I just mentioned earlier. And in the first series of yoga as art can be seen in a series of photographs that Buddha Bosu has taken in England by posing in a series of photographs in the 1930s. And that's one of the earliest that we see where you can see clearly that it is posed not so much as yoga, but as art. As most practitioners would recognize, this is not the purest form of this particular posture, for example. There's an interesting story about Monotosh Roy, who became the first Indian to become Miss Universe at the lowest scale of class 3, what they were called, depending on your height. And he was the first one ever to become Mr. Universe. And his winning series of postures, which you do as a bodybuilder, is to stand in a series of postures. And his entire sequence was a series of yoga postures. And that was completely new in these kinds of forums before that. And that just captivated the judges. And of course, this has to be repeated later on by other yoga exponents. For example, here we see BKS Iyengar posing in front of the Eiffel Tower, and it's not by an accident he happened to be doing that. And he has actually written a book called Yoga as Art. And I took this picture of a Calcutta street yoga competition in 2017. And what struck me as the most fundamental aspect of this, where people were doing various yoga postures and they were holding it in that pose in the form of an art. And that is something that you don't often see in standard yoga studios, for example, where it is seen as a form of exercise. So here I have a picture of myself doing a Mayurasana in against a neutral background, so that you can see how this can be seen as a frozen posture, but which is also very dynamic. Of course, the ultimate kind of yoga art would be to have your entire body shown to the whole world. Of course, you can't do that in most yoga postures yet, because the world is still quite crude.